The most important thing today is we need to thank the House and the Senate for an incredible session. The House and the Senate both worked diligently to make sure we did things that are good for Floridians, and I'm very proud of what happened this session. Some of the things I'm especially proud of is, first, I asked for, and the House and the Senate did a constitutional amendment proposal where Floridians will be able to decide if politicians will be able to raise their taxes in the future or their fees. So I'm proud of that. We all fought for freedom and democracy in Venezuela, so state agencies will no longer do business with the Maduro regime. We fought for those struggling with opioid addiction to make sure fewer Floridians will have those issues. We also fought to make sure we had pay raises again this year for our law enforcement officers and also for our DJJ employees, which was the right thing to do. Also, we fought to make sure we could protect our citizens that are in our nursing homes or ALFs. We had an incredible session, but probably the most important thing we did this year is we listened to the families at Parkland. In a very short period of time, we came together and passed historic legislation to make our schools safer, to make sure that we have more mental health counselors, to make sure that those struggling with mental illness or those threatening others or themselves to do harm no longer have access to a gun. So I'm proud to have stood with the House and the Senate on Friday. I'm proud to have stood with those families and said we did something to make school children in our state feel safe. So I want to thank the House and the Senate for an incredible session. This is my last regular legislative session, and I couldn't be more proud of this session than all 8 sessions I've been a part of. So I want to thank everybody for all their hard work.
Thank you very much, Governor. And Governor Scott is the governor that restored the promise of bright futures to Florida's students and their families. Governor, thank you very much for doing that. A group of senators and I did a bus tour a couple years ago, and we visited all 12 of our state universities in a systematic way. I want to thank the Florida Channel for covering that tour. They were there every stop of the way. And I'll never forget an extraordinary student that I met at Florida International University Law School. His name is Carlos. He came to the United States from Cuba when he was 11 years old. He worked his way through FIU undergraduate and then through FIU Law School. He had a first-generation scholarship to help him accomplish that. Then he attended law school and graduated with honors and is now an associate at a prestigious statewide law firm. And to me, that's what the Higher Education Initiative of the Senate was all about, is opportunity for young men and young women to achieve their dreams. So with the restoration of Bright Futures academic scholars to 100% of tuition, $300 a semester for books, and also a summer program, and then our medallion scholars being restored to 75% of tuition and then a summer, we have restored that promise to Florida students and their families. Over 100,000 students will benefit. And I want to thank Speaker Corcoran for his assistance in making that happen, and I want to congratulate the Speaker on the extraordinary progress toward parental education and parental choice in education that he made with his K-12 initiatives, which the Senate was proud to support. So again, I want to thank the Governor, the Speaker, the House, all of my colleagues in the Senate for what we were able to accomplish this session, and that we were able to pass meaningful legislation and funding to help that we will not have a Parkland tragedy, that we've done everything we can to make sure that that doesn't happen again, and that we've honored the families and the memories of the students and adults who lost their lives there. So thank you all very much for a great legislative session. It was a pleasure to work with Governor Scott and with Speaker Corcoran. And with that, I'll introduce the Speaker of the House, Speaker Richard Corcoran.
Thank you. I'll just echo what President Negron and Governor Scott said. I think this has been an amazing session, and what made it so significant, apart from all the great policies that the President has listed and the Governor has listed, we had this absolute horrific tragedy that took the lives of school children and thrust upon us literally in the last 3 weeks. And it was that one brief shining moment you get so few times in government, where the Democrats and the Republicans were listening to each other and working together, the House and the Senate listening to each other and working together, the governor, sheriffs, school superintendents, and most importantly, the students and the parents, to have that vote be taken and have the parents sitting there in the gallery watching, and to show how government can work, how government can be something that is good and true and beautiful, was unfortunately over the most tragic of circumstances. But it was something, I think, that's encouraging for this chamber, these two chambers, for the PL level moving forward, is there is nothing that we cannot do to impact and change and transform the lives of every Floridian for the better when we work in that kind of a dynamic. It's been an honor to serve with my House colleagues. It's an honor to serve with my class that I got elected with. It's an honor to serve with so many of the folks that I've served with in the House who are now in the Senate, and the other senators who have been fantastic, President Negron. But absolutely, as President Negron said, we started this journey 8 years ago, and Florida was just, to borrow a phrase, a place of malaise. And now 8 years later, it is so transformed, whether it's education, tax policy, jobs created, tax cuts, deregulations, and it's hats off and a tribute to our great governor, Rick Scott, and it's been an honor to serve with him. Thank you very much.